Hey, what's up, everybody? You're watching the Rave TV. I'm lucky enough to be sitting here with Brendan Small, creator of Dethklok, Metalocalypse. How's it going, man?
It's going good. What's happening?
Not a lot's happening. Just talking to you.
Yeah, pretty
ready
good
for the
though.
show tonight.
I mean, can you believe it? I'm here. I came to this place.
You actually came to the Rave.
I showed up. I'm doing a lot of no shows these days, but this is one of the ones that I decided to show up for.
Well, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, you got it.
It's a pleasure. You've been in TV for 10, 15?
About 10 years.
10
About
years?
10 years. My 10-year TV birthday.
Back when you were doing
Kind
home movies,
Yes.
and then when you started Metalocalypse, could you ever, if someone came up to you and said, you know, in a couple years, you're going to be touring as the cartoon death metal band that you're going to create, would you have believed them? Is that something you had in the cards at that time?
Somebody did come up and say that to me, and no, of course not. The thing that I thought would, home movies got canceled, and my whole idea when I was going to make the next show was to figure out a way for a show to not get canceled. So TV shows are expensive, and they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to make, even like 15-minute episodes. So I wanted to make sure, and I graduated from music school and all this stuff, and I wanted to be able to find a way to use music and use my comedy chops and be able to have a show that can exist outside of TV. And so I put all that stuff together, and the end result was Metalocalypse. Because, if the show were to get canceled, I could always go and make music and kind of have that, because that's cheaper to make a record than it is to make a TV show, because you've got hundreds of mouths to feed on a TV show production, and for a record, I can go into a studio by myself or hire Gene Hoglan on drums or get a producer like Ulrich Wilde, and ultimately, it's a very low overhead and very few people involved, and the majority of the record is me by myself, kind of writing,
Like you said, you studied music in college.
Yes.
Were you playing death metal before you started Metalocalypse, or did you kind of have to learn how to play death metal, as you were making the show?
Yeah, I started out as like any kid in the suburbs. Like one day you discover guitar, and for me, it was my neighbor up the street taught me how to play Black Sabbath. He taught me how to play Iron Man before I even knew what Black Sabbath was. Yeah. And then he started introducing me to Metallica and Slayer and like Merciful Fate and and Testament and Anthrax and all that cool stuff. And whether or not I wanted to, I became a big fan of metal. It just was like, that's the prominent instrument is guitar. And so I got metal chops, and and then I discovered Yngwie Malmsteen and Joe Satriani and Steve Vai.
Just people just rip.
And just learned how to like do all the shredding stuff, and Paul Gilbert, and got the instructional videos and all that stuff. And I got really good at playing guitar right around the time where it was really uncool to play guitar. So right when I was like, I think I got this stuff together, somebody said no more solos in guitar, and I said, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go into comedy for a while. So so that was like kind of during music school and all that stuff, and then I started studying writing for TV at Emerson College near Berklee College of Music in Boston, and I started getting up on stage and doing stand-up and stuff, and that led me into home movies.
So two different loves of your life just kind of
I know I'm going all over the map, but the question was, did I know how to play metal? I knew how to play like old school thrash, and I did have to kind of recalibrate to, because I was listening to a lot of death metal, and I was just figuring out a lot of Cannibal Corpse and like even Amon Amarth or things like that, and going, okay, well, I guess everyone's tuning down really low, and but the techniques are ultimately the same. You just have to get your picking together, and the left hand has to be flying around everywhere, and then so that was it. Just kind of tuning my guitar down, and that was the big trick to playing death metal for me.
I wish it was that easy for me.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, you have to spend your entire high school life without a girlfriend, and instead a metronome and instructional videos, and that's how I got all my chops up, and had to kind of get them back up to par for Dethklok and stuff like that. And still, I'm learning more stuff and getting better, and things are coming quicker as I continue the show.
Nice.
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, if the real personalities of the five guys in Dethklok were to go on an actual tour, how do you think that would go? Because they seem like they have a lot of adventures on the show. So if those guys actually existed, or their personalities actually existed, do you think that would go well?
Well, I don't know. This particular band, if they had the kind of setup that they have, which is basically they can get away from each other. They have like helicopter. They're touring in gigantic, like marine liner sized helicopters. They can get away from each other, and I think they would get on each other's nerves in a small, tiny van or a bus, like if they were an opening style band.
But a band is big.
Yeah, I think they could do it. They just probably stay drunk all day long. I don't know. I think that honestly, having a band that has like a equal 5-way part collaboration, those bands never last long. I don't know why it is, but only a couple of them survive the test of time. But since this is a pretend band, we can make them do whatever we want. Mm-hmm. So the answer is yes. I don't know.
In a way.
What was the question? Anyway, yeah, go on.
All right. So for the live show, were there ever any other ideas of making it like a Gwar type show where you have costumes or?
Absolutely. I mean, I would hope to one day. See, the thing about Dethklok is I'm still proving it to people. Like even all the suits at Adult Swim and stuff, where I'm still proving, even though it's a success, they kind of don't believe it's a success yet. That some of them are real dumb. Some are real stupid. And
there's a lot of people like that in the world.
Yeah. But it's what I'd love to do is to get like a $14 million budget where I can have things explode. I'd like to actually pour hot coffee onto an audience, kill a couple people, release rabid dogs into them.
I think that would go over really well with everyone.
I think that'd be fun, as long as guys on stage aren't getting hurt.
I mean, if people can carve Slayer into themselves, you could pour hot coffee on people.
I could pour hot coffee on people, or I could pour room temperature coffee on people. I think I could get away with that. That's what Gallagher does, basically. Basically, that's Gallagher. If I could get away with dumping smashed watermelons on people, then I'd be happy. But no, there's a whole bunch of stuff I like to do. But the whole thing about TV, records, touring, and everything is that you're at the mercy constantly of the amount of time you have and the budget and your resources. How many people do I have to work on this? How much can I pay them? Mm-hmm. Can I afford a gigantic talking skull? The answer is no, I can't.
Not at this point in time.
Yeah. Or I'll have to run around. I'll have to go to some financer outside of, the network. But in the meantime, I got them to, I talked them into financing, hundreds of thousands of dollars of animation and lighting and stuff like that, and to make it, a very cool, fun show that you won't forget.
Mm-hmm. And so far, it works out pretty well the way it is. But
I like the way it is, but you could always make things bigger and better, and you can turn it into a huge Broadway Vegas show if you wanted to. But I don't have that kind of I don't have that kind of steam yet. I'm still proving it to people.
Hopefully, as the show goes along, it gets that way, because that sounds really exciting.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
I do think it'd be cool to pretend to kill a lot of people. Not really kill. I don't want to hurt anybody. We want these people alive to continue buying things. They're more important to us alive. So
Metalocalypse is a pretty satirical show. A lot of the things that happen to the band, you could probably find a real life example of that. Somebody really doing that. It's got to be. Today, music celebrities to me are growing increasingly stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're doing a lot of stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Do you take like examples of shit like Paris Hilton does and just really stupid people and say, hey, that would be a really funny idea if we just had like Pickles have like this crazy emotional meltdown like Britney Spears does?
Yeah, I mean that's basically the idea. Is one of the main reasons that Dethklok exists, even though you wouldn't notice it the first time you watch the show, is that me and the guys that created it were pissed off that TV was just about watching a bunch of celebrities become just dildos, and watching them be stupid in their average, and watching people be famous for not doing anything and
for
just
living a life.
Yeah, and watching people be kind of like, so all I'm doing is watching Bridezillas all day. Like people are taking stuff way too seriously, and the stakes are very low, ultimately. And how can we take some of that stuff and throw it into this world? And that was basically what the idea was. Let's have a show about celebrities. But what if the celebrities were the biggest entertainment act in the world, and they happen to be an extreme metal band? So that was the whole question. So yeah, we'll take stuff like that. But then there's stuff in the music world that happens too. Like I just recently heard within the last month that somebody in the Van Halen camp got caught scalping their own tickets I'm like, that's a good idea. That's cool.
That's a way to maximize your own profits. Yeah,
it's great. Sure, you may get arrested and quadruple charge some poor sap who wants to see your band, but that's funny to me. That is comedy. That is very funny. Well done, Van Halen. Yeah.
What happened to those guys? God.
No comment.
No comment. Okay, we're pleading the fifth on that one.
Yeah.